Good day, everyone. Today we are going to discuss the case study number 1. Where did the first Catholic Mass take place in the Philippines? Wherein we are going to discuss and use it as a historiographical exercise in the utilization of events and interpretation in reading historical exercises. My name is Jana Altea K. Legreso from Bachelor of Science in Social Work 1B with my partner, Miss City Shiny Kindo. Let's dig deeper into this case. Did you know that Butuan has long been believed as the site of the first Mass? Yes! This has been the case for 3 centuries, culminating in the erection of the monument in 1872 near Agusan River, which commemorates the expedition arrival and the celebration of the Mass on April 1521. But this is just based on rather an elementary reading of the primary sources of the event.
Toward the end of the 19th century and the start of the 20th century, together with the increasing scholarship on the history of the Philippines, a more nuanced reading of the available evidence was made, which brought to light more considerations in going against more accepted interpretation of the first Mass in the Philippines, made both by Spanish and Filipino scholars. It must be noted that there are only 2 primary sources that historians refer to in identifying the site of the first Mass. One is the log kept by Francisco Albo, and the other, and more complete, was the account by Antonio Pigafetta.
Now, let us dig deeper into one of the primary source, Albo's log. Diario o de Torero del Viaje de Magallanes desde El Cava C.S. Agustin en el Brasil hasta el regreso a España de la Nao Victoria, escrito por Francisco Albo. Document number 22 in Colección de Viajes y Descubrimientos que hicieron por más los españoles desde fines del siglo XV, edited by Martin Fernandez de Navarrete, which was reprinted on Buenos Aires 1945 and have 5 volumes for 191 to 225 pages. As cited in Miguel A. Bernard, Butuan or Limawasa, the site of the first Mass in the Philippines. Our examination of evidence, 1981. Kinaadman, a Journal of the Southern Philippines, volume number 3, pages 1 to 35. So, nung 16th of March in 1521, nanggaling sila sa Ladrones in a westerly course. And then they saw this land na nasa northwest, pero sobrang shallow kasi nung tubig doon sa pinapaligiran ng island na yon, so hindi nila in-approach. Tapos later, yung pangalan pala nung island na yon, nalaman nila, Yunagan. So in that same day, since hindi sila naka-land doon, hindi sila naka-anchor doon, pumunta sila ng southwards to another small island which is called Suluan. Doon sila nag-anchor. And then, papunta sila doon, may nakita silang maliliit na bangka or canoes, pero syempre umalis sila kasi nakita nila yung mga Spaniards sa paparating. Yung Suluan is located at 9 2/3 degrees north latitude. So, nung umalis sila dun sa dalawang islands na yun, nag-sail sila ulit ng westward to an uninhabited, ibig sabihin walang nakatira sa island na yun, which is called Gada. Doon, nagkuha sila ng mga supply nila, wood, water, na kailangan nila sa expedition nila. Yung sea na yun kasi is, hindi siya shallow, so madali lang talaga makamaneuver yung ship nila. And in this part, hindi binigay ni Albo yung latitude ng island na ito. Pero in Pigafetta's testimony kasi, this seems to be the island na tinatawag nila na Aquada or Humunhun at 10 degrees north latitude. From that uninhabited island, which is yung Aquada daw, nag-sail na naman sila ulit westwards toward a large island which is the name Celani. That was inhabited. Or Celani kasi, tinatawag din ito ni Pigafetta na Ceylon. Or the island of Leyte. And yung island na yun is maraming gold, let's say.
The people of that island of Mazawa were very good. There the Spaniards planted a cross upon a mountain top, and from there they were shown 3 islands to the west and southwest, where they were told there was much gold. They showed us how the gold was gathered, which came in small pieces like peas and lentils. From Mazava, they sailed northwards again towards Ceylani. They followed the coast of Ceylani in a northwesterly direction, ascending up to 10 degrees of latitude, where they saw 3 small islands. From there, they sailed westwards some 10 leagues, and there they saw 3 islets, and where they dropped anchor for the night. And in the morning, they sailed southwest some 12 leagues down to a latitude of 10 and 1/3 degree. There they entered a channel between 2 islands, and one of which was called Matan, and the other was called Subu or Subu. They sailed down the channel and then turned westward and anchored at the town called La Villa of Subu, where they stayed many days and obtained provisions and entered into a peace pact with the local king. So, the town of Subu was on the east-west direction with the islands of Suluan and Mazava. But between Mazava and Subu, there were so many shallows that the boats could not go westward directly, but has to go as they did in a roundabout way. It must be noted that in Albo's account, the location of Mazava fits the location of the island of Limasawa at the southern tip of Leyte. Also, Albo does not mention the first mass, but only the planting of the cross upon a mountain top, from which could be seen 3 islands to the west and southwest, which also fits the southern end of Limasawa. Now let us move on to another primary source, the Pigafetta's testimony on the route of Magellan's expedition. So the source is from Emma Blair and James Alexander Robertson, The Philippines Islands, Volume 33 and 34, as cited in Miguel A. Bernard, Butuan or Limasawa. The site of the first mass in the Philippines, a re-examination of evidence, 1981. Kinaadman, A Journal of Southern Philippines, Volume 3, pages 1 to 35. On March 16, 1521, which has happened to be on Saturday, Magellan's expedition sighted a highland named Zamal, which was some 300 leagues westward of Ladrones, which was now called Marianas Island. So, on the following day, Sunday, March 17, after sighting Zamal Island, they landed on another island which was uninhabited, means unoccupied by people, and which lay to the right of the above mentioned island of Zamal, which to the right here would mean on their starboard going south or southwest. So yeah, there they set up 2 tents for the sick members of the crew and had a so killed for them. The name of this island is Homonhon. This island was located at 10 degrees north latitude. On that same day, Sunday, March 17, Magellan named the entire archipelago the island of Saint Lazarus. The reason that it was Sunday in the Lenten season, when the gospel assigned for the Mass and the liturgical office was the 11th chapter of Saint John, which tells of the raising of Lazarus from the dead. So, the following day, Monday, March 18, in the afternoon of their second day on that island, they saw a boat coming towards them with 9 men in it. So, there the exchange of gifts affected. Magellan asked for food supplies, and then the men went away, promising to bring that supplies that Magellan has asked for. They promised to bring rice and other supplies in just 4 days. So there were two springs of water on that island of Homonhon. Also, they saw there's some indication that there was gold in these islands. So consequently, Magellan renamed the island and called it the watering place of good omen, or Aquada Laliboni Seniali. So on Friday, March 22, 4 days exactly, as those natives promised to bring foods back to Magellan as an exchange of what Magellan gave them. At the noon, the natives returned. Then this time they were in two boats, and they bought the food supplies that Magellan wants to exchange for. So that was what Magellan asked for. So, and in exactly 4 days, the natives gave it to Magellan as an exchange.
So, Magellan's expedition stayed 8 days sa Homonhon. Simula nung Sunday, March 17 hanggang nung Monday the following week, which is March 25. So, nung pagka-Monday, March 25, nung afternoon na yon, yung expedition weigh anchored and left. Umalis sila ng Homonhon. And during that day is sa Ecclesian calendar is the Feast of Incarnation, also called the Feast of the Annunciation, or therefore tinatawag nating Our Lady's Day. Yung nung day na yon, mayroong unfortunate accident wherein nahulog si Pigafetta sa water and na-rescue siya. And based sa kwento niya, he really attributed his escape from the grace and intercession of Mama Mary nung time na yun. The route taken by the expedition after nung umalis sila sa Homonhon was toward the west-southwest between the four islands, namely, Senalo, Hinunghaan, Ibuson, and Albaren. Very probably, yung Senalo na minimin nila is a misspelling in the Italian manuscript for what Pigafetta says in his map, or calls it Ceylon. And kay Alba naman, he calls it Ceylani. Namely, pareho rin yun siya na gina-refer is the island of Leyte. Hinunghaan is a misspelling of Hinungangan. Seemed to Pigafetta to be a separate island. Akala niya separate island yun. Pero actually, nasa mainland din siya nung Leyte or nung Ceylon. On the other hand, yung Hibuson, or kay Pigafetta, Ibuson, is an island on the east of the Leyte southern tip. Thus, it is easy to see what Pigafetta meant by saying that toward the west-southwest past those islands. So, they left the Homonhon sailing westwards ulit, papuntang Leyte, and then followed Leyte's coastline. Sinundan lang nila yung coastline na southward, passing between the islands of Hibuson on the port side and Hinunghaan Bay on the starboard. And then, nag-continue na naman sila southward, then mag-turn na naman sila to Mazava. Thursday and March 28, it was the Holy Thursday. Nag-anchor sila in the island which lies in the latitude of 9 2/3 towards the Arctic Pole, and in the longitude of 162 degrees from the line of demarcation. So it was 25 leagues from the Aquada and is called, yun yung tinatawag nating Mazava. So, nag-remain sila doon, or nag-stay sila sa Mazava for 7 days. So, as I was saying, nag-remain sila 7 days sa Mazava Island, diba? And then, pagka Thursday, April 4, yun na yung time na umalis sila sa Mazava, bound for Cebu. Papunta sila ng Cebu, and ginaguide sila ng King of Mazava, who is sailing on his own boat. And sa route na yun, dinaanan nila yung 5 islands, which is the Ceylon, Bohol, Canighan, Baybay, and Gatighan. Sa Gatighan, doon na sila nag-sail ulit westward to the 3 islands of the Camotes Group. Yung sa Camotes Group, namely yan siya Poro, Pasihan, and Posohon. Here, the Spanish ships allowed to stop the King of Mazava to catch up with them. Kasi since, diba, ang Spanish ships is much more faster because of the engines na meron sila and the mechanism of the boat. Kaysa doon sa, of course, our native balanghay or yung mga native boats natin noon. And then, from doon sa Camotes Islands, doon na sila nag-sail sila ulit southwards to Cebu. So, nung Sunday, April 7, nung tanghali, doon sila dumating sa harbor ng Cebu. And it actually take them 3 days to negotiate to the journey of Mazava northwards to the Camotes Islands, then southwards to Cebu.
So let us now proceed to the primary source, Pigafetta and 7 Days in Mazawa. So source, Emma Blair and James Alexander Robertson, The Philippines Islands, Volume 33 and 34, as cited in Miguel A. Bernard, Butuan or Timasawa. The site of the first mass in the Philippines, re-examination of evidence 1981, Kinaadman, A Journal of Southern Philippines, Volume 3, pages 1 to 35. On March 28, which was on Thursday, in the morning, the Magellan's expedition anchored near an island where they had seen a light. Then at night, before a small boat or boloto came with 8 natives to whom Magellan threw some trinkets as a present. So the natives paddled away, but 2 hours later, 2 larger boats or balanghay came, so in one of which the native king sat under an awning of mats. At Magellan's invitation, some of the natives went up the Spanish ship. Then, but the native king remained seated in his boat. So, as an exchange of gifts was effected, as I said earlier, in the afternoon that day, the Spanish ships weighed anchor and came closer to shore, anchoring near the native king's village. So that this Thursday, March 28, was Thursday in Holy Week, basically Holy Thursday. So the day after that, Friday, March 29, which considered as Holy Friday, so Magellan sent his slave interpreter ashore in a small boat to ask the king if he could provide the expedition with food supplies, and to say that they had come as friends, not as enemies. So in reply, the king himself came in a boat of 6 or 8 men, and this time went up Magellan's ships, and the 2 men embraced. So another exchanges of gifts was made. So the native king and his companions returned ashore, so bringing with them 2 members of Magellan's expedition as guests for the night. So one of the two was Pigafetta. So on the following day, March 30, happened to be on Saturday. Pigafetta and his companion had spent the previous evening feasting and drinking with the native king and the king's son. So as I said kanina, before going back, the king bring 2 of the Magellan's expedition as a guest for the feasting night. So one of that, diba, as I said, was as I mentioned, was Pigafetta. So the next day after that, March 31, Sunday, early in the morning of Sunday, the last of March and Easter day, Magellan sent the priest ashore with some men to prepare for the mass. So later in the morning, Magellan landed with some 50 men and mass was celebrated. So after which a cross was venerated, Magellan and the Spaniards returned to the ship for the noonday meal, but in the afternoon they returned ashore to plant the cross on the summit of the highest Hill in attendance both at the mass and at the planting of the cross were the King of Mazua and the King of Butuan.
Sunday, March 31, nung pagkahapon nun, habang nandun pa rin sila sa summit ng highest hill, nag-ask si Magellan dun sa dalawang king if anong port yung pupuntahan niya para makakuha ng mas maraming supply ng pagkain na available on that island. Ang reply naman nila, may possible na pwede pagpilian ni Magellan 3 ports, which is yung nandoon sa Ceylon, sa Cebu, and the Calagan. And doon sa tatlong yun, ang Cebu yung port na may most trade. So, mas pinakamarami na pwede ka makuha. So, Magellan wished to go to Cebu and mag-depart siya in the following morning. He asked someone to tether him, ibig sabihin, para mag-guide sa kanya papunta doon sa port na yun, which is sa Cebu. And yung sabi naman ng Kings is like, anytime available yung pilot sa pwede mag-tether sa kanya. Pero nung pagkagabi, nung March 31, nag-iba yung isip ng King of Mazava. And yung sinabi niya na siya mismo na lang ang mag-tether doon kay Magellan papunta sa Cebu. Pero first, he needs to, of course, magkuha ng harvest, and nag-ask na naman siya kay Magellan to send him men to help in harvest. Pagka umaga, which is the Monday, April 1, nagsend na si Magellan nung mga tao na mag-help dun sa harvest. Pero walang nangyaring trabaho kasi yung dalawang king na yon is natutulog kasi uminom sila nung night, nung gabi na yun. So, nag-hangover sila nung April 1. Then, pagka Tuesday, April 2, and Wednesday, April 3, yun na nagsimula yung harvest. So, for 2 days sila nag-harvest. Pagka Thursday, April 4, doon na sila umalis ng Mazava bound for Cebu. So, the age of exploration. Ano ba talaga ito? The age of exploration is yung period of a competition among European rulers to conquer and colonize the lands outside their domains. So, initially, yung goal talaga niya is to find alternative routes by sea to get to Asia, kasi yung Asia is the main source of spices and other commodities. And if mag-travel ka doon, lahat kasi ng existing routes nung time na yun is by land. If you travel by land, it's much costly. So, a sea route to Asia meant that the Europeans could access the spice trade directly, greatly reducing costs for traders. So, Spain's major foray into the exploration was through Christopher Columbus. He's famous, right? Diba? We have heard about him, who proposed to sail westward to find the shortcut for Asia. If you have been paying attention to what we have been discussing since the early, may discuss kami, it's always, marinig mo talaga yung word no westward. So, it's because of the proposal of Christopher Columbus. And Christopher Columbus, he was able to reach the Americas. That is what he is known for, if alam niyo. And then, yung Americas kasi nung time na yun is cut off from the known world. Moving on, Spain colonized the parts of North America, Mexico, South America in the 16th century. They were also able to reach the Philippines and claim it for the Spanish crown. Later on, any other European rulers would compete with the activity of the exploration and conquering of lands.
It must be also pointed out that later on, after the Magellan's death, or after he died, the survivors of his expeditions went to Mindanao and seemingly went to Butuan. So, in this instance, Pigafetta vividly describes a trip in a river, but take note that this account happened after the death of Magellan. So, that's all for our report. I hope you listened well today and learned something from our report. So once again, I am CT Shiny K. Kindo from BS Social Work 1B, reporting with my partner, Miss Jana Altea K. Degreso.